Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Gaming News for the week of October 4th to the 8th. And this week, we really only have two topics, but both of them are large enough that if you haven't been on the internet for the last while, I don't know how you've missed information about at least one of these things, especially since it has been discussed on numerous platforms, and of course, the widespread media has gotten a hold of some of that information as well. So, we are going to get right into the two topics that we have for today. And the first on that list is Amazon Games. Now, Amazon Games, as you may be aware, released the game New World, which has had a number of issues leading up to this week. And while many people online have been really enjoying the MMO, there are some people who have had to deal with some very bad issues right now with the game, especially considering how difficult it is to receive product in the wake of COVID and anything sort of revolving around that topic. So, we're just going to show you what we are talking about here. So this is what we're talking about. Amazon's New World is bricking RTX GPUs and what you need to know. Now, this was released 7 days ago, so that would have been October 1st, which technically would have fallen into last week's gaming news, but because it's been a recurring problem, I decided that we would cover it a little more in detail this week. And out of this article, I've highlighted a couple of things that are important. According to our sister site, PC Gamer, this is off of Tom's Guide, by the way, the latest news report of New World bricking GPUs comes only from a few months after the game's beta destroyed some users' fancy new 3090s. Like with the outcome of that fateful test run, players across the globe are experiencing crashes and subsequent card failure during gameplay, which is an even bigger bummer considering how difficult it is to even find GPUs right now. The article continues. During July's beta, the issue appeared to be limited primarily to EVGA cards and only happened during New World's menus, which featured uncapped frame rates. Thus, they were overheating and problems ensued from there. EVGA quickly responded with an admission that some poor smoldering on certain cards had contributed to them burning out from drawing too much power, and the company promptly replaced the bricked GPUs. It was assumed that there wouldn't be any further complications, especially since Amazon stepped in and capped the frame rate in the menus as a precaution. But again, there's no guarantee that it's the game that is causing the problem, which we'll get to. And then it continues. Reports of GPU bricking in the full release, though, indicate that the problem is affecting more than just EVGA cards. Even with capped frame rates, players are publicizing failures in cards from a variety of different manufacturers, including multiple cases of Gigabyte RTX 3090s biting the dust. Now, this does sort of carry over because Tom's Hardware yesterday launched an article which talks about we shouldn't be blaming New World for the GPUs, we should be blaming the card makers. And so there are a number of different points that I'd like to address in this article, which is Amazon says they have detected no game-breaking bugs in New World that would cause the game to kill RTX GPUs. Instead, it reiterates and confirms that its problem with GPU manufacturers and poor graphics card build quality. In the last few days, we have received a few reports from players who have had problems with their GeForce RTX cards. After extensive investigation, we were unable to identify any unusual behavior on the part of New World that could be the cause of these problems. EVGA has already confirmed errors in the production of some GeForce RTX cards. For players who have encountered a hardware failure, we recommend that you contact the manufacturer, and that's directly from Amazon. They continue in this article. EVGA has already confirmed that its first batch of RTX 3090 cards built a year ago had faulty solder joints, which caused the cards to die under the strain of New World. And if it wasn't New World, it would have been some other game or application. And there's a lovely picture of what is the problem here. What we currently don't know is what other models of RTX 3090s and RTX 3080s met with similar manufacturing defects. We've seen mention of a couple of Gigabyte RTX 3090s cards dying while playing New World, and according to Jay's 2 cents, one Zotac 3090 caught fire while playing the game. Power GPU, a system builder, also says a single RTX 3080 Ti died, but that's it. All other brands, including MSI, don't seem to have any dead cards at all. So in this case, we're looking at a manufacturer being at fault for the issues with the video cards. And it's not specifically New World. So Jay's 2 cents has released a number of different videos outlining the problem, testing various cards to see what is actually happening, and was one of the first to mention the fact that the soldering on some of the parts was the actual problem and not the game itself. But still, that calls into question which people who have these new GPUs are being affected, if they're going to be reimbursed, etc. And if you want more information, I do have a Jay's 2 cents video open that was released on the 5th, which revealed more important things about testing New World and various GPUs. I will link it below, so if you're interested in learning more about the subject and what he has discovered, definitely check that out. But finally, the other thing to note is that obviously there are other video games on the market, and after talking with a friend of mine about GPUs and about video games and about New World, they expressed concern over their GPU and their computer because, again, it would be difficult to acquire a new video card if it were to die, and or if the whole system were to die. But they had discovered that someone they follow also ended up with a problem, but it wasn't just New World. So this is the Russian Badger, and he was playing the Battlefield 2042 beta, and he is using a 3990X Threadripper and an RTX 3090. So it stands to reason that the problem is most likely the 3080s and the 3090s, but by different specific manufacturers and perhaps even specific batches. So keep in mind that it's not necessarily New World's fault. It's not necessarily Amazon Games' fault that is triggering these issues with GPUs, but that the GPUs themselves have not been properly put together. So keep that in mind if you're going to play any of the new video games or jumping on the bandwagon of getting new hardware when it comes out, because you never know if this is going to be the fallout of that situation. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention. If you happen to have an RTX 3090 or even certain 3080s, please be careful if you're going to play something like New World or Battlefield or really anything, to make sure that the GPU itself doesn't go belly up And if it does, hopefully you'll be able to be refunded or be reimbursed in some way for your video card dying. Next up, we have Twitch once again in the news, and this time it is really bad. Twitch is now under fire for a very, very big thing. The entirety of Twitch has reportedly been leaked. We're talking about source code and user payouts among the data released in a 128 gigabit torrent. So, an anonymous hacker claims to have leaked the entirety of Twitch, including its source code and user payout information. The user posted about 125 gigabyte torrent link to 4chan on Wednesday, stating that the leak was intended to foster more disruption and competition in the online video streaming space because their community is a disgusting, toxic cesspool. I would just like that to sink in for an extra second. We are talking about a hacker posting to 4chan claiming that Twitch is a community full of disgusting, toxic cesspool of people. All right, so one anonymous company source told VGC that the leaked data is legitimate, including the source code for Amazon-owned streaming platform. That is the entirety of Twitch. That is the layout. That is auto mod. That is everything you can think of with respect to the platform. And that is terrible for so many different reasons. So the leaked data includes the entirety of Twitch's source code going back to its early beginnings, creator payout reports from 2019. We are also talking about mobile, desktop, and console Twitch clients, proprietary software development kits, and internal Amazon Web Services used by Twitch, every other property that Twitch owns, including IGDB and CurseForge, an unreleased Steam competitor codenamed Vapor from Amazon Game Studios, and Twitch's internal red teaming tools, which is designed to improve security by having staff pretend to be hackers. Now, this is actually incredibly huge and incredibly scary for so many different reasons. And it's worse than what people think. The problem is a lot of people have focused their energy on looking at individual content creators' pay, whether it be over the course of a year or the past 2 years, or if they were focused on the monthly dollar value that some of these people are making. Now, those values are not including ads, merchandise, separate donations, sponsorship deals. It's not including the Twitch bounties. So a lot of these numbers may be relatively close to what these content creators actually make. But the reality is that people knowing how much you're being paid is not really a problem necessarily, at least not in my opinion, because for a lot of people, Twitch is a business. This is something that you can make your living off of, and then you can learn a lot of investing principles. You can learn merchandise and business management. You end up becoming your own boss where you're hiring people and managing a team of people. You have to manage your taxes. You have to manage your safety online as well. There's a lot of different moving parts when it comes to just streaming to Twitch or to YouTube or something like that. And the fact that people know how much money you make is not really a big deal in the grand scheme of things, because a lot of people have their sub counts showing up. They have their follower counts and goals shown up on the stream. They will sometimes have goals for how much money they want to make each month so that they can make their rent if they're a full-time streamer or something like that. And that's not including other sources of income that they have. People who are content creators are actually rather business savvy, and the idea that so many people are outraged that different content creators are making the amount of money that they're making should not be surprising to anyone, because there are many of the top streamers that treat this as a business, as it probably should be. The people who are hobbyist streamers, who are not looking to improve, who do not go and consider their brand or anything like that, those are probably the people who are maybe upset about how much money their favorite streamers are making and maybe see it as a competition. But in the grand scheme of things, that's not really the issue. The issue is more that you are not the one making money after all of the work that you've put in. It just means that you haven't had the same opportunities or haven't leveraged your connections properly. You haven't done marketing properly. There's a number of different reasons why people become successful and make a fair amount of money in whatever space and business they happen to be part of. And the fact that people have focused so hard on just the money, and that's the big deal out of this hack, actually kind of upsets me, because it tells me that people aren't worried about the things that they really should be worried about, which is now you're looking at a lot of those people maybe going to other places to make better deals. Maybe someone else comes in and copies Twitch and it causes massive lawsuits. This will potentially put a lot of people at financial risk, because the entirety of the source code was released. Passwords, possibly phone numbers, possibly PayPal information. Anything that is linked to you could have leaked because of this hack, because they grabbed what seems to be everything. So the fact that people are only worried about dollar values and not about personal privacy or any information that they have shared through Twitch actually scares me more. So I just wanted to throw that at you, because it's a very important point that I think people are just missing the big picture when it comes to why this is much bigger than people realize. This article goes on to talk more about this. One of the points that I came across that was different is Scott Hellier, one of the streamers whose data was leaked, told Motherboard about the damage the leak will do to him. I really hope that no major personal information like full names, emails, addresses, phone numbers, and banking info gets out in the next part of the leak, because when this was leaked to 4chan, they said this is only part 1. That's 125 gigabytes worth of data, and apparently they have more. So whatever else is included in that is also extremely scary, because we don't know how any of that has been put together or captured, and for how far back, and what things are really at risk. Also, people are going to be harassed for this info as it is now fully confirms what some sites have been trying to figure out through bot scanning channels. Real dollar values will push people to think differently about who they watch if it can't be discussed or disclosed, unfortunately. So it just shows you that not only do they potentially have a lot more sensitive information than what was released in the first batch, but the fact that there are many bot scanners trying to get all of this information to use against people is actually extremely scary. Now, right now, it just seems like they're attacking the business and not individual people, but who knows what that information is going to be used for. The article goes on to say that Thomas Shadwell, a former Twitch security engineer, told Motherboard that the data related to the security that's been leaked is not that sensitive and mostly several years old. The security-related code in the InfoSec folder is code I wrote many years ago to standardize security code in several key projects we were working on, Shadwell said in an online chat. The code itself was largely superseded by code which was maintained by Twitch's core engineering teams rather than myself. Shadwell added that it's very unlikely there's anything worrying from the security side unless it was introduced after I left a year and a half ago, and that the actual compromise is probably no bigger than what's in the drop, since there was a very big effort to move all secrets out of the source code. So, theoretically, if this person used to work at Twitch and they worked hard to maintain the security, which should be the number one focus of a social platform like Twitch, assuming that they took those steps, we shouldn't have an issue when it comes to personal information being leaked, but that doesn't give you any guarantees. To continue, in terms of the non-security related source code that was leaked, Shadwell said that is indeed Twitch's source code, but we worked hard to make sure that nothing was sensitive in the source, so the issue is probably mostly IP related. In other words, this Twitch hack and leak may be worse for streamers and content creators than for the company itself. So on the surface, it looks like because all of the source code has been picked up, that this will provide competition to move to another platform or to create a new platform for as much money as that is going to take. But will they have security systems in place if you even incite competition like that? But if they've gathered information, some of those bots are being used to gather information about streamers, and that puts streamers at risk. So consider that this hack might actually turn into something bigger than what we are currently seeing. So I do have some more information about this topic, and that is that Twitch acknowledged on October 6th that the breach actually did happen, and they decided to push something forward to try and help content creators. And that is, they sent an email to all Twitch creators. Out of an abundance of caution, we have reset all stream keys. You can now get your new stream key here with a link. And depending on which broadcast software you use, you may need to manually update your software with this new key to start your next stream. So on Twitch Studio, Streamlabs, Xbox, PlayStation, and Twitch mobile app users should not need to take any action for the new key to work. OBS users who have their Twitch connected should also not need to take any action, but OBS users that have not connected their Twitch account to OBS will need to manually copy their stream key from their Twitch dashboard and paste it into OBS before they can go live on the platform again. And for all others, please refer to specific setup instructions for your software of choice. So if you're using something like XSplit or another third-party application, Restream maybe, you might have to look at the settings to make sure that you have the right stream key to broadcast to your channel. And of course, before that, they did acknowledge the breach by saying, "We have learned that some data was exposed to the internet due to an error in a Twitch server configuration change that was subsequently accessed by a malicious third party. Our teams are working with urgency to investigate the incident. As the investigation is ongoing, we are still in the process of understanding the impact in detail. We understand that this situation raises concerns, and we want to address some of those here while our investigation continues. At this time, we have no indication that login credentials have been exposed, and we are continuing to investigate. Additionally, full credit card numbers are not stored by Twitch, so full credit card numbers were not exposed." And I also went looking for more information about the data breach, and I came across the Hoeg Law video where they discuss in detail the legal ramifications of the entire source code being released to the public and other information that may have been gathered from said leak, and I will link that below because it is a half-an-hour video, and I want to make sure that if you guys are interested in more details about this from the legal perspective. The thing with this issue is, even though I do not feel as though the earnings per content creator is as big of a deal as people have made it out to be, many of those people potentially can hold Twitch liable for the data breach. And of course, that means that Twitch is going to go after the people who leaked the information, who gathered the information, and stop as much of that from being more distributed. But this is severe damage control that they're going to have to do. And from a legal standpoint, Twitch is not in a very good space. Now, the thing is that you may think that many of the content creators will just jump ship to other platforms, but the reality is that if nothing has caused them to already start looking for other places to continue their business, then more than likely they're going to at least stay on the platform for now. And the reason I say that is because even when you look at Ninja, who left for Mixer before Mixer died, if you look at Tim the Tap Man or Dr. Lupo or other people who have gone off to YouTube greener pastures, if you will, there's different requirements, and those deals were already being worked on probably months in advance of the announcement. So even though they were breaking the partnership agreement with Twitch, and in order to gain these sponsorship deals, you obviously have to work for them. So the people who were already looking to leave the platform to make more money or to have more freedom in terms of being able to stream to multiple platforms and diversify and have a larger audience, those kinds of things are worked on ahead of time. And if there are content creators who you feel like they should make more money than they do and that they shouldn't be restricted to Twitch, right now the only place that is even remotely viable would be YouTube, because they have the money to pay out much larger contracts than Twitch does right at the moment. Now, I can't speak for other platforms. If maybe PlayStation has its own master plan, or Xbox has their own master plan for a streaming platform, or even if Steam itself comes out with something to help more with streaming. It's a matter of looking at it from a business perspective, what is most viable to you. The reality is that if you don't have one of those deals, it's actually going to cost you a lot more and you're going to have to start up again. And I have talked with countless streamers who have gone to other platforms who have tried to do a restart, and they were just not as successful because the ecosystem isn't quite there for them. There still needs to be more build up business wise before they would viably financially be able to move to these platforms. And while a lot of people are waiting on the release of Altair, there's no guarantee that they're going to have the right safety measures in place. There's no guarantee that their servers are going to be able to handle all of the people that move to the platform. There's no guarantee that they have everything set up. And the reality is, people want instant gratification. If something isn't working right at the beginning, yes, there will be early adopters to a platform and will help make it bigger and better and perhaps make something happen there, but it will take time. And a lot of people are just not willing to learn, or they're more likely going to stay with what they have for now, diversify in other ways by building up merchandise or other stores or other ways that they can make money. And when they are able to keep that stably and balance all of that, then they might consider taking the pay cut and moving off of Twitch to another platform. So, while I guess I kind of see the intentions of this random hacker trying to foster competition, the reality is it's going to take a lot more for any of that competition to gain traction to even compete. We've seen Hitbox TV go under, that was a competitor to Twitch. We've seen Mixer go under, that was a competitor to Twitch. We've seen Facebook Gaming, which has some questionable content on there, try to be competitor to Twitch. So the only real place you can think of is people going to YouTube, and they're not going to do that if they don't already have something built up or already have a sponsorship deal in place. And this is why, even though we have a massive leak like this, there are not very many people who are going to jump ship. If anything, they might just stop streaming. Keep all of that in mind when you're looking at the situation. The problem is not that people had their financial information leaked. The problem is what else is included in that data breach and how much of it contains personal details of these people outside of just their personal information. Because really, nobody should really care how much a person is making, but I will care if people have my credit card information, my phone number, my address, or my IP address. And those are things that are infinitely more valuable than, yeah, this month I had a stellar month where I made, $10,000, where normally I only make 5 grand a month. In the grand scheme of things, that is not the issue, in my opinion. But you may think differently. So let me know in the comments what you think about the Amazon situation, or let me know what you think about this whole Twitch leak and situation, and maybe what you think they have and what may be released in that second batch, and your thoughts and opinions. I'd love to have a dialogue about this particular situation. So, with that, I would like to thank you so very much for being a follower, contributor to Patreon. I appreciate every little bit of support that I get. If you enjoy these videos, please share the word that I am doing them. And with that, thank you so much for being here and being awesome. You guys have been fantastic, and I hope that you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.